Hey, what's going on YouTube? I just wanted to make a video today about 5 costly mistakes I have made as a reseller, so y'all don't make them too. So mistake number 1 has been in shipping. Whenever you get an item, which is something I used to not do, don't assume that it weighs a specific amount and don't assume that's going to fit in some sort of package. Always weigh it and make sure that it fits in whatever package that you plan on shipping it in before you ship it out, so that way you can know how much it's going to cost. I made this mistake when I bought a board game for $3 at a garage sale. I was thinking, hey, so it sells for $18 on Amazon, this is pretty good. It sold. I thought I was going to ship in a size 5 bubble mailer, but it didn't. And I ended up having to buy a box. And shipping was a couple more dollars more than anticipated. So all in all, I broke even, and I think I had a small loss of about $1 or $2, as opposed to making, $3 or $4. Also, media mail. Media mail is great, right? Because if you're shipping like a book or a DVD, it costs a lot less money than shipping it like priority or some other way through the USPS. But keep in mind though that items like comic books and magazines do not meet the standard. One time I was trying to ship magazines through media mail, and the guy that was working there was like, hey, what's in this? I'm like, magazines. He was like, this doesn't ship media mail. So I ended up having to buy a box. I ended up having to buy a box and pay more shipping. Now was great knowledge, and happy that he told this to me, because I didn't have to pay like any fines that would have been associated with him, like finding out that they were magazines and having them not be media mail. So he helped me there. But this is something that is good to know going forward. Another major area that I have made a mistake in is condition assumptions. Just because something is in a package that appears to be new, or that condition appears to be good, don't make the assumption. Always take the item out and give it a brief look over if you can. A great example of this are some golf balls that I bought about a year ago. I was like, wow, these are nicer golf balls. The packaging looks a little bit messed up, I know, but I honestly thought this was because of storage, or it was just sitting in a box. Packaging is messed up like that. I assumed that these were new, or if they weren't new, then they were like new. I bought them, paid about $2 little deal, $2 deal, so $10 for this. And do you see this right here? Little black marks. These have probably been played with before, even lightly. Probably very lightly, but still, even if they've been played with lightly before, I can't sell them as new. I really don't, and good customers costs a lot of money because they make you look bad, and I'm having to sell these as used. So definitely a mistake that was a little bit costly, and I've done this before too with wheel locks. Right? When I found some wheel locks for like $3 at a Goodwill, or $3, and I thought, hey, these so good on eBay. I thought they were new, and I listed them, forgot about them. I got an offer for $15. I took the offer, and then the guy messaged me. He's like, hey, are those bearings like these right here? You see these right here? Here, I'll click on this. Not like the centerpiece that you see, but the 4 items right here that you see kind of in the top right corner right there, right? He's like, hey, are those bearings? I looked at them, and they were. I was like, no. So after looking at the packaging a little bit more, I realized that it had been tampered with, and that somebody, put bearings in there, or somebody just didn't open the package very much. They got the locks out and they replaced them with their bearings. Either way, I couldn't sell them to him like that. Fortunately, he just canceled the order, and my loss was a few bucks I spent at the Goodwill, and whatever time I spent listing it and sourcing it. It could have been a lot worse, because I could have easily shipped him the item, having it also to pay for return shipping, and have gotten a better review. So just a great thing to keep in mind. Another important thing to keep in mind is whenever you're buying a lot of stuff, always have a plan as to what you're going to do with it before you buy it. Here's an example of a lot of stuff that I purchased at an online estate sale. I bought a lot of items for like these light bulbs right here, and this piece right here. It was a good price, and I'm slowly making money on this, but however, I'll zoom out a little bit. These light bulbs right here, these long ones, and right there, those are used. They're not new. I end up having to drive them down to Lowe's, which cost me a few bucks in gas to get them recycled, which I'm still going to be making money on this lot as a whole. And I actually got 10 bucks for that lamp right there. So if I spend more money for this lot, a few dollars could have had a larger impact on the profit. And additionally, it took like about 20-30 minutes each way to go to Lowe's, about an hour of my time. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, the fourth mistake is that I is going to thrift stores and not knowing kind of just what items to look for in general. Now, you can go to Goodwills and thrift stores and just go and look up eBay comps, which is something that I did for the longest time and something that I still do because you always have to look at eBay comps, right? But I specialize in books, so I'd look at the random items and I go to the books and I scan them, and then that would be me thrifting. And I'd look at a little bit at the clothes too, but I don't. I'm still trying to learn about clothes, but regardless, it's good to know the general categories of items to look for at thrift stores. Watch videos like these are listed in the description. By the way, like and subscribe if you haven't yet, but these will be linked in the description. Here it says top items to sell by Rally Roots. Here you can see right here it says 25 common items to sell on eBay. This video right here opened my eyes to the idea that blank media, like blank VHS tapes, already in the packaging, so well on eBay, and this is something that I've started to keep on lookout more, where it's something that I wouldn't have thought of purchase originally. Also, it will help you avoid items with a low sell-through rate, right? Like crystal bowls and stuff are a great example. Yes, they're worth some money, but keep in mind that they also cost quite a bit to ship. And really, it's not that scarce to find like crystal bowls in garage sales and thrift stores. So here you can see, I look up just crystal bowl, right? These cool items. Like, wow. It's sold for decent money. 200 bucks right here. About 30 bucks right there. $140. Even like 30 something dollars right there, right? It looks like it's sold for some decent money, and it does sell for decent money. Right? And it's listed for decent money too. Here you can see a bunch of completed listings, right? The ones in green have been completed and haven't sold, and the ones in black are just completed and they didn't sell. I mean, you can literally be sitting on this stuff for like 8 or 9 months, and the same goes for silver-plated platters and bowls and stuff like that. Silver-plated stuff is common. Whenever it sells for relatively decent money if it's in good condition. But at the same time, it just doesn't sell that often. And if you have a limited budget for buying stuff to sell online, these are just general categories that, unless if you're really specialized in, to not really focus so much on. Unless you find like a great brand, then comp it. But, generally just a category to stay a little bit more away from. And the fifth mistake that I've made in the past, which is honestly the biggest mistake, is feeling pressured to buy items when I go to garage stores and estate sales. Now, personally, I have a fairly limited space to keep my inventory, and I have a fairly limited budget when it comes to like thrifting items. So there's been times in the past where I would buy items without knowing exactly what it sold for, and without knowing exactly what it sold for in the past, and without exactly knowing how much I'm going to be able to get for it, or having an idea of how I'm going to ship it. And I'd buy these items and they're still sitting. And the reason why is because I sit there is because I go to like a garage sale and I think to myself, I spent the time going to this garage sale. I don't want to, and I'd feel more pressured to buy an item. So I would, and I would think, hey, I could get, $2 or $3 a piece for this, get 5 or 10 of them, I'll make money. But at the same time, I listed these items, people just didn't want them. So don't feel pressured to buy something at a garage sale. If there's nothing there, just don't try to think there is something. Sitting on the inventory for a year and just have it not sell at all is kind of lame, and that's definitely a mistake that I've made in the past. So I could have used that money, saved it, and used it for better items thrift later, or I could have even just done something better with it. And lastly, but not least, it is a little bit of a bonus tip. This is probably not gonna sound very smart, but this is something that I've made in the past. And after looking for search terms on Google, when I Google thrift store, all these come up, right? And this is just my local area. Here's some local thrift stores right here. Pretty good, right? Just make sure you move around and you zoom into different areas when you're doing a Google search, because this is what comes up. I do another search, and as you can see, a lot more thrift stores came up. Here, big thrift store came up. And also keep in mind, whenever you're looking for like a Salvation Army or a Goodwill, both of those, don't just Google Salvation Army and Goodwill. Look up Salvation Army Thrift or Goodwill Thrift, because also like donation centers and various components of the company that aren't thrift stores also come up that are more frequent than you may initially anticipate. So make sure that you specify that they're thrift stores in the Google search so you don't drive to them and spend time to find out that they're not a thrift store. So I hope that y'all found this video today. I'm going to have the rally words and the rabbit resale video in the description below so y'all can check them out. Shout out to those people. And I hope that y'all found this video to be helpful. And please like, subscribe, and comment, and have a great day.